we've already covered a lot of news. Paul Manafort remanded to jail. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see if he flips and starts cooperating, or if he is, at this point, is Trump going to pardon him? He could pardon him proactively and just shut down all the prosecution of him. I'm not sure it would stop the investigation, but he could prevent Manafort. He could get Manafort out of jail and prevent him from going to jail in the future. And if he did that, what would happen? I think that we would be looking at a major constitutional crisis. I think we would be looking at an event, if Trump pardoned Manafort now, or any of these guys, frankly, or even more concerning, if Trump were to fire Mueller and Rod Rosenstein, or fire Rod Rosenstein and put into place a toady who would then fire Mueller. Much like Robert Bork did, firing Archibald Cox, if I'm remembering correctly, in 1973, was it, or early 74? In the whole Watergate scandal, which is the thing that ended the Nixon presidency. But Nixon didn't have Fox so-called news. Nixon didn't have a massive right-wing media infrastructure in the United States. Nixon didn't have Sinclair Broadcasting. Nixon didn't have a media universe that has captured somewhere between 20 and 35% of the American population and kept them in a fact-free zone, in a bubble, in a non-real bubble. Nixon didn't have any of that. And so even the Republicans had to turn against Nixon. Now, if Trump really, if he does this, if he fires these guys, if he tries to shut down the investigation into himself, which, remember, one of the 5 articles of impeachment against Richard Nixon was obstruction of justice. He tried to block Archibald Cox's investigation of him. He tried numerous ways to block it, and that was one of the impeachment charges. If Trump tries to shut this down, if he engages in the obstruction of justice, then I think, and gets away with it, which I think, frankly, is likely right now, because the Republican Party is turning into, as Congressman Pocan pointed out, is turning into something that more resembles a cult than a political party. And if that happens, then we have taken a massive step forward down the road to the events that have happened in other countries where they have very, very rapidly lost their democracies. This would be, very analogous to what Adolf Hitler did in 1933. Somewhat analogous to what both Mussolini and Franco did, Pinochet. The list is a long one. But basically, functioning democracies that were turned into autocratic regimes where the existing political infrastructure, the existing political parties, were twisted and shaped through both carrot and stick, through offering some politicians, yes, I'll support your reelection, and the very wealthy people in our country will keep you going. I've shared with you before, over the last year, I've been reading Fritz Tyson's book, I Paid for Hitler. And he was, this massive German industrialist. And he documents how in the first year or so of the Hitler administration, he was helping out Adolf Hitler and helping out all his buddies. I mean, he was a wealthy industrialist, and Hitler was bringing the economy back and making things again in Germany. They were recovering from World War I, building the Autobahn, building the Volkswagen. The Volkswagen needed lots and lots of steel, and Tyson was running the major steel mill in Germany, and he was on board. And so you had the carrot of promising people things. Yes, Paul Ryan, do your little dance for me, and my billionaire buddies will make sure that you get a really, really cushy job when you retire. And we've seen this happen over and over and over again. And particularly Republicans, when they retire from Congress, they get these multi-million-dollar jobs because that's who they were serving when they were in Congress. Whereas when Democrats retire from Congress, look at Dennis Kucinich, for example, trying to get back into politics, running for governor. But, no millionaire or billionaire him, and he doesn't have them supporting him. Republicans, it's easy. So there's the carrot. The stick, of course, is we'll kick you out of the club. Bob Corker is being kicked out of the club. Jeff Flake has been kicked out of the club. I mean, it's just, that's what the Republicans will do if they have gone full-blown cult. If they're no longer a political party, if they no longer respect the rule of law, if they no longer respect American both political and legal traditions, and they go full-blown cult, and Trump pulls this thing off and gets away with it, this is not the United States of America anymore. It will have fundamentally changed.